Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English stories. Fluency in English is something many people want. I remember when I was a young student, like you, I wanted to speak English well. I wanted to be fluent, but I was shy and made many mistakes. One day, a teacher said to me, "You can be fluent if you practice every day." This sentence changed my life. When you want something, you must work for it. Fluency does not come in one day. It is like planting a tree. You put the seed in the ground, water it, and give it sunshine every day. You care for it, and then one day, the tree grows big and strong. The same is true for fluency. One day, a student came to me. She was very sad. She said, "Teacher, I want to speak English, but I always forget the words." I smiled and said, "Do not worry. Fluency is not about remembering all the words. It is about practice." She looked at me with hope in her eyes. "But how can I practice?" she asked. I told her, "Practice is everywhere. You can practice by talking to your friends, by listening to stories, by singing songs. You can practice every moment of the day." I remember when I was in school, I loved stories. I would listen to them every night. My teacher would read to us, and I would repeat the words. At first, I was slow, but with time, I became faster. I learned new words and my confidence grew. Another student asked me, "Teacher, is fluency only about speaking fast?" I said, "No, fluency is about speaking clearly. It is about making others understand you. You do not have to speak quickly. You have to speak with confidence." There was once a boy in my class who spoke very fast, but no one could understand him. I told him, "Slow down. Speak clearly. Use simple words." He listened, and soon everyone could understand him. He became more confident and enjoyed speaking in English. Fluency is like a journey. You take one step at a time. You do not rush. You enjoy the process. One day, you look back and see how far you have come. I have seen many students who were afraid to speak at first, but with time and practice, they became fluent. There is a secret to gaining fluency. It is a simple secret. The secret is to listen. Listen to others speak English. Listen to stories. Listen to songs. Listen to conversations. The more you listen, the more you learn. I once knew a girl who loved music. She would listen to English songs every day. Soon, she started singing along. Her fluency improved because she was listening and repeating. Another important thing is to not be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are our best teachers. I remember a student who was very afraid of making mistakes. She would not speak because she thought others would laugh at her. I told her, "Do not worry about mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson." One day, she decided to speak in class. She made many mistakes, but she did not stop. She kept speaking. After a while, she became better. She told me, "Teacher, I am not afraid anymore." That was the day she started to become fluent. Fluency is also about thinking in English. When you think in English, You start to speak more naturally. I once had a student who always translated from his language to English. This made him slow and confused. I told him, "Try to think in English, even when you are alone. Think in English." He tried this, and slowly he became more fluent. There was another student who loved to talk. He would talk about anything and everything, but he had a problem. He would start a sentence in English, and then switch to his native language. I told him, "Try to stay in English. Even if you don't know a word, try to explain it in English." This helped him stay focused, and soon he was speaking only in English. Reading is another way to gain fluency. When you read, you see how sentences are formed. You learn new words. I remember when I was learning English, I would read simple books. Every time I found a new word, I would write it down. Then, I would try to use it in a sentence. This helped me remember the words and use them when I spoke. One day, a student came to me with a book. She said, "Teacher, I read this book, but I did not understand everything." I told her, "That is okay. The more you read, the more you will understand." She continued to read every day. After some time, she came to me and said, "Now I understand much more." Her fluency improved because she was reading and learning new things every day. Fluency is also about listening to yourself. Sometimes you need to record yourself speaking, then listen to it. See where you can improve. I once had a student who did this every day. She would record herself reading a story. Then, she would listen to the recording and find areas where she could improve. This practice made her more aware of her speech, and soon she became fluent. Practicing with a friend is another great way to gain fluency. I had two students who were best friends. They decided to speak only in English with each other. Every day, they would have conversations in English, helping each other with words they didn't know. Over time, both of them became very fluent. They learned from each other and enjoyed the process. Fluency also comes from using the language in real-life situations. When you go to the market, try to speak in English. When you are with friends, try to use English. The more you use the language, the more fluent you become. I had a student who worked in a shop. He decided to speak only in English with his customers. At first, it was difficult, but with time, he became more confident and fluent. Fluency is also about being curious. When you hear a new word, don't ignore it. Find out what it means and try to use it in your next conversation. I remember a student who was very curious. Every time he heard a new word, he would ask me what it meant. Then, he would try to use that word as much as possible. His vocabulary grew, and so did his fluency. It is also important to have a goal. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? When you have a clear goal, you are more motivated. I knew a student who wanted to travel to an English-speaking country. This was her goal. Every day, she practiced speaking English because she wanted to be ready for her trip. Her goal kept her motivated, and she became fluent before she traveled. I also tell my students to enjoy the process. Fluency does not come overnight. It takes time, but if you enjoy the journey, it becomes easier. I once had a student who loved watching English movies. He would watch one movie every night. At first, he used subtitles, but after a while, he started watching without them. He enjoyed the movies, and at the same time, he was improving his fluency. Fluency is about repetition. The more you repeat, the better you become. I remember a student who loved to repeat sentences. He would hear something in class and then say it over and over again. This helped him remember the sentences, and soon he was using them in his daily conversations. Speaking with different people also helps with fluency. Every person has a different way of speaking. When you talk to different people, you learn different styles of speaking. I once had a student who was very shy. He only spoke to me. I encouraged him to speak to other students. At first, he was nervous, but with time, he became more comfortable. He learned new ways of expressing himself, and his fluency improved. Sometimes, it is good to practice speaking about topics you love. When you talk about something you enjoy, you are more passionate, and the words come more easily. I had a student who loved football. Every day, he would talk to me about football. This helped him become more fluent, because he was speaking about something he was excited about. Fluency also comes from understanding that it's okay to not know everything. Sometimes, you may not know a word, and that is okay. Try to explain it in another way. I had a student who always wanted to know the exact word for everything. If he didn't know the word, he would stop speaking. I told him, if you don't know the word, try to describe it. This helped him keep the conversation going, even when he didn't know the exact word. A student once asked me, "Teacher, how long will it take to become fluent?" I told him, "It depends on how much you practice. Some people become fluent in a few months, while for others, it takes longer. But the important thing is to keep going. Do not stop." This student practiced every day and soon saw progress. Sometimes, it is helpful to practice in front of a mirror. When you see yourself speaking, you become more aware of your expressions and gestures. I had a student who was very shy. She did not like to speak in front of others. I told her to practice in front of a mirror. This helped her become more confident, and soon she was speaking more fluently. Another student asked me, "Teacher, what should I do if I forget a word while speaking?" I told him, "Do not stop. Keep talking. Sometimes the word will come to you later. If not, use another word." This helped him stay calm when speaking, and he didn't worry about forgetting words. That it is also important to take breaks. Sometimes, your brain needs rest after a long day of practice. It is good to relax. I knew a student who practiced all the time. She became very tired and started to feel frustrated. I told her, "Take a break. Relax. Come back tomorrow with a fresh mind." After taking breaks, she felt better, and her fluency continued to improve. Fluency is also about using the language in creative ways. You can write a short story, sing a song, or even make a video. I had a student who loved to write. She would write short stories in English every day. This helped her practice new words and sentences. Soon, she started reading her stories aloud, and her fluency improved. Another way to practice is by teaching others. When you teach, you learn even more. I had a student who was very fluent. She decided to help her friends who were not as fluent. She would teach them new words and practice speaking with them. This not only helped her friends, but also made her even more fluent. Sometimes it helps to have a routine. Set a time every day to practice speaking English. I had a student who would practice every morning for 30 minutes. This was his routine. He followed it every day, and soon he became more fluent. A routine helps you stay disciplined and ensures that you practice regularly. It is also important to be patient with yourself. Fluency takes time. I had a student who was very impatient. He wanted to be fluent quickly. I told him, "It is okay to take your time. Be patient. Keep practicing, and you will see results." He listened, and soon his fluency improved. I believe that anyone can become fluent in English if they are willing to practice. Fluency is not just about speaking quickly or knowing many words. It is about confidence, practice, and the willingness to learn. If you practice every day, enjoy the journey, and believe in yourself, you will become fluent. As time went by, more students came to me, seeking advice on how to improve their English. Some were struggling with pronunciation, while others found it difficult to remember new vocabulary. Each time, I shared the same simple yet powerful message. Fluency comes with persistence and consistency. One day, a new student named Ollie walked into my classroom. He was quiet and seemed a bit nervous. I noticed that he wasn't speaking much, and when he did, his voice was shaky. I asked him what he hoped to achieve from learning English. With a sigh, he said, "I want to speak confidently like you, but I'm afraid I will make mistakes." I smiled and said, "Ollie, everyone starts somewhere. And yes, you will make mistakes, but that's how you learn. Do you know what the most fluent people have in common?" He looked at me curiously. They're not afraid to make mistakes. They speak because they want to be understood, not because they fear being perfect. Fluency is about letting go of that fear. Ollie thought for a moment, and a small smile appeared on his face. "I will try," he said, his voice still hesitant but more hopeful. The following weeks, Ollie practiced every day. He started recording himself speaking, repeating the sentences I shared with the class, and reading stories aloud. Slowly, his confidence began to grow. He didn't mind making mistakes anymore, and each day, he improved just a little more. One day, he stood up in front of the class and shared his thoughts about a topic we had been discussing. His voice was steady, his sentences were clear, and although he stumbled on a few words, the class listened attentively. Ollie was speaking English with a new sense of pride. One of the most powerful moments came when Ollie spoke about his dream. "I want to visit English-speaking countries and talk to people from different cultures. I want to learn from them and share my experiences. But I know it's only possible if I keep learning." His words touched everyone in the room, and it was clear to me that Ollie had found his motivation. Fluency was no longer just about speaking well. It was about achieving something that mattered to him. A few months later, Ollie stood before the class again, but this time he spoke with even more confidence. "I'm planning my trip next year to an English-speaking country," he said, "and I know I'll be able to talk to people, make new friends, and learn more about their culture. I couldn't have done it without all the practice, encouragement, and belief that I could do it." His journey reminded me of something important. That fluency in English is not just about the words or grammar rules we learn. It's about overcoming our fears, finding our motivation, and taking small steps every day to improve. Ali's story became an inspiration for everyone in the class. They saw that with patience, practice, and perseverance, fluency is not a distant dream, but a very real possibility. One day, as I was walking out of the classroom, I saw Ollie practicing his English with a friend. He was laughing, using new words, and encouraging his friend to keep trying. I felt proud of him, not just because he had become fluent in English, but because he had embraced the process, shared his learning with others, and helped them along the way. Fluency isn't just about learning a language. It's about understanding that every mistake is a step forward, and every practice session is a victory. The more we practice, the more confident we become, and soon, we realize that fluency isn't a destination. It's a journey.